My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Hello, good morning. This is demonic, and it's scientifically impossible. While you're facing the sun that sits at this same intersection in the evening, this is all demonic pacing in and out of the CHEVRON at the gas station, also shared with ARCO where they're surrounding in the path. And I'm documenting the license plates, taking pictures of them, and I will be including them on the podcast. Here's my shout out behind me, and this is speaking to the environment where you're recognizing, first of all, demons, second of all, stalkers. And it's going under the name of CHEVRON, which I'm also going to prosecute. This is a sex offense, however, while you're being molested with impossible light, and you have psychopaths that are engaging in what are supposed to be malicious, and inconspicuous means of stalking an American citizen in concert with the government. You're going to prosecute for this. This is committed in furtherance of murder. This psychopathic means of stalking, for example, by being a patron at a gas station. They're all demons under the fake sun. And this is P.O.C. the sun. First of all, this isn't the sun. We've already broken that down. It remains over me all day long on this same street. Second of all, the sun reflecting and then creating a shadow in front of you on the ground. Yeah, that's the specific environment where I'm going to document these license plates. 16445 Frank 2, 7LEB 940, 82380 Charlie 4, 8AR E448. This is P.O.C. You can see my shadows remaining. This is light activity. Demons are inside of this building. I am surrounded and I'm still being monitored. And the entity is always stalking above in the aerial, engaging in aerial surveillance. This is P.O.C. and this is 8:07 a.m. I am documenting the fact that I am in other cities on Omnitrans, capturing the fact that this is not the sun, it's the light source, and it's the identification of a crime scene. And demons far beyond right here at ARCO are keeping me under surveillance, stalking in the path on streets in alignment to me, stalking me wherever I go, and this is the indicator of that. Everywhere that I'm going, this is the indicator that everybody is stalking as I go. P.O.C. It is currently 10:10 a.m. and this is the position of the fake sun right now based on where I am seated at the wall at the Ontario Town Square located at 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is the identification of stalkers and what you know are demons in a demonic environment, an environment that is tailored to me, where I am, and what I am doing. This is gang stalker Delta Airlines stalking me under a fake sun that's at the Ontario Town Square over my head, where it's still present in the evening in alignment to me at the same position as well. This is speaking to everything in that environment and everyone in that environment that is targeting. This is revealing also, as you can see as I am publishing, revealing what is the ongoing existence of the conspiracy to commit murder as an entity that's engaged in state monitoring. The targeted individual is subject to what is a criminal conspiracy by the government in concert with the people of the state to have their life taken. That's why and only why the police are engaged in stalking someone. So I'm capturing this video and I want to show what is the maintenance of the fake sun. If you'll look up above right here, the fake sun, I'm gonna take a picture of this. As you can see here, I captured video at the Ontario Town Square yesterday. And I just want to be clear, this is mental illness. If a mental illness had a picture, this would be it. These are demons that are stalking me. They're focused on me. They're listening to me. And they're engaging in what is monitoring with the government. And they're keeping their back towards me. They're sitting even in front of me, trying to engage in any and everything to outwardly demonstrate that they are not engaging in what all of the evidence is clearly stating is the fact and also science. In addition to the behavioral pattern by the government that is indeed engaged in stalking by plane. And as I'm documenting, you'll see stalking by helicopter. Okay, the Ontario police engaging in terrorism while they're triggered by the truth that I'm reading in scripture about there being one sun and one moon, referred to in scripture as the two luminaries, not a fake sun that's over me all day long, and what is necessarily a fake sun over you wherever you are in the country in the United States. These are demons, and the Nephilim are fully exposed, and those demons of the Ontario police engage in stalking in helicopter while they're monitoring on my device, Title 18. And at 10:10 a.m. when I'm starting this video, this is relevant to the maintenance of the fake sun that is not ending at the OVITT Family Community Library. Let's take a look together. There's no sun over that entrance over there. Okay, like it is when I walk over there yesterday, starting the video at 10:06 a.m. and ending the video at 10:10. And this is the entity that's moving that fake sun in that video, speaking to what is stalking me as an entire entity that is conspiring to murder what is the targeted individual, a proven status with regard to what is identified in the environment, in addition to what is identified by targeting by the government. And the people of the state are the government. They're not private citizens, and they are acting in furtherance of the same pattern of conduct as the entity that's stalking you in planes and helicopters and using establishments to engage in that pattern of conduct as well, where you live, where you go, such as the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, and so that's the significance of what you're looking at here. Juxtaposing the fake sun remaining stationary.
Library. It's 10:06 a.m. and at 10 a.m. when I'm entering the Ontario Police Department gang stalking at 9:55 a.m. when the doors are about to open. That this fake sun is already over the entrance. When I'm inside and the entities keeping the fake sun over the entrance as I walk in, that's speaking to the OVITT Family Community Library being a gang stalker, and they're a gang stalker in places that are sexually perverted and sexually motivated, such as the bathroom where Mickey is engaged in monitoring my vagina. Mickey is also a psychopath stalking me with light inside of that library, where the sun is maintaining presence over me, which is how you know that Mickey is a malicious psychopath gang stalking with a population, doing so in the workplace, which is this OVITT Family Community Library, where there is no sun over that entrance. Neither would the sun be even at that entrance when I'm capturing it over the same entrance at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm capturing it over the parking lot of the same library at 7 o'clock in the morning. There's a history of the entity targeting in this supernatural environment in concert with the people of the state who are stalking in the path, doing so as businesses, doing so as a population, bodies entities maintaining ongoing stalking presence, which they also maintain, while a fake sun.
You are witnessing the fake sun remaining stationary, and at the same time the fake sun moving over me as I move to that building over there where it sits over the roof. Okay, I started this video at 10:10 showing you it's not over the roof of the library. It's not a consistent natural environment. It's tailored to me and what I'm doing, and that's where you're looking at demons who are disguising themselves as a law enforcement agency, and they're terrorists in this United States as well, and they have conspired murder. That's the significance of gang stalking me as a police department, as a city, as a population, and the entity is going to be prosecuted for kidnapping and furtherance of conspiracy to murder. It's not just targeting. It's not just a civil case. It's conspiracy to murder when they're engaging in the pattern of conduct with the population, keeping you under surveillance. There's a demon in this vehicle stalking in perfect alignment with my path, and your knowledge of that is the fact that the sun is not over the entrance. Okay, where you're looking at what is the evidence of an environment that's tailored to me and not based on what is a consistent natural environment that's not tailored to any of us.
Remains over me in this manner when I'm in the city of Upland at the same time. Don't forget when I am getting on Route 66 in Montclair, California, and the entities that keeps the fake sun over the African American female that's operating Omnitrans bus Route 66 going to Upland, where there's no sun that's going to ricochet while this demon 8NUU546 drives by me. That's a stalker, and doing so while the fake sun is not over the OVITT Family Community Library. An unpredictable and inconsistent environment where demons are exhibiting illness by stalking with impossible light activity and stalking with methods of light. 9MEB339, stalk with impossible light, and stalking with light with the headlights on aiming toward me is the maintenance of light. Mental illness under both license plate 8NYG342, and this is all criminal based on the Ontario police that are being disbanded. This is the entity that does not have any sun over the entrance because I'm not inside of that building yet. And as I'm approaching it, you're looking at the sun move east apart from the Ontario town square where the airport is engaged in targeting, where the people are engaged in targeting, 1-800-DNB. The entity is engaged in what is keeping this fake sun when I'm in Montclair, California on Route 66, an entirely different city. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me while I'm remaining, by the way, what is already inside of the OVITT family. I want to show you this fake sun as I'm moving. Well, I'm remaining at this same venue and walking out at 6 p.m. where this fake sun is aimed perfectly inside of this venue into the depths where no sunlight is shooting like a laser straight through into the depths of the library to come toward me, just like this, on the carpet toward me with engineer light. Everybody in this building is monitoring. Everybody outside of the building is monitoring. This is the criminal conduct by the City of Ontario, and it includes the Ontario Police Department, where there's no sun that would ever engage in that. It still wouldn't be here, contrary to what I documented yesterday evening. This is all stalking in the path.
All right, stalking in the path, stalking in the path. I want you to see the fake sun move to be over the entrance as I am walking to that venue. That's a demon that's monitoring my vagina all day long inside of the OVITT Family Community Library.
This is the entity that's engaging.
And there's the fake sun as the video ends at 10 a.m. And this is the fake sun that I'm showing you starting at 10 a.m. still here, not in any location, and not to be confused with the natural environment that has it both over there while you're looking over there, and it's clearly right here in front of my person while I am facing what is, I'm facing east or south, I would say southeast. I'm facing southeast. This is not to be confused with being at the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library, and neither is it at both places at the same time. They're not all driving with the sun through their window everywhere that they're going. Everybody that's living and working, everyone has the fake sun over them in this manner. That's not the environment. That's not the natural environment. That's impossible. And this is the maintenance of the fake sun at one location, when yesterday at this location, the fake sun moved to be over me at that location. And I'm showing you this at the same time, okay? There's no sun over that entrance over there. Okay, and that's speaking to the OVITT Family Community Library being a facilitating venue where I am under surveillance, and includes my genitalia, which is speaking to sex offenders that are engaging in what is public corruption. Sex offenders that I have identified that are engaging in targeting me through the airport, targeting me through the gang stalking airlines, where no planes are engaged in any takeoff, flying miles away. There's that level of scrutiny, and then it's getting to what is the clear environment that's tailored to me. We're in that environment monitoring, which is demonic, which is surveillance is underway, and it is shared by the entity that is gang stalking as a police department, doing so in furtherance of murder, That's why you are gang stalking. That's why you're making malicious assertions. That's why you're defaming. That's why you're maintaining an unabated program of psychological torture. It is that which is committed in furtherance of murder, and this is relevant to the entity that's going to be prosecuted for that. Acting in furtherance of that criminal conspiracy to commit murder is the purpose of gang stalking through the people of the state, the population that's maintaining criminal surveillance by conspicuous stalking in the environment where it is remaining around you, and so are all the people of the state. All the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It's 10:19 a.m. Just as another note, I am getting off of Route 66 and up in California at approximately 10:17 a.m. The fake sun's remaining over the Ontario Town Square. I am getting off of Route 66 and I'm at the intersection of Foothill and Euclid Avenue, getting off of Route 66, and that fake sun that remained here is on another day on Omnitrans. This was just last week, and I am, that fake sun, I'm capturing video of that fake sun street for street, turn for turn. Not the same experience as somebody else that's driving by me and the fake sun's remaining stationary. They're moving. The fake sun isn't. That's a stalker, and so is everyone else, okay? And so is the OVITT Family Community Library. And they're acting in furtherance of murder. It is no small thing to engage in terrorism with the United States government, and it will be a conspiracy to commit murder. That's the purpose of gang stalking with the police. Okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:20 a.m. GF 122, engage in what is sexual assault and battery as an entity that is also a co-conspirator to murder. This is the fake sun that's over me that is pursuing me as I leave the Ontario Town Square, and so is the Ontario International Airport, co-conspirator to murder as an entity, and all the people of the state who are stalking as a population, co-conspiring the murder of an American citizen. They're doing so while the evidence of a supernatural environment follows, which is the mark of what is a demon possession by stalkers who are engaged in gang stalking, crossing path under the fake sun, crossing path under the fake sun. They're pacing together, 9JPD 604. And they're doing so under the fake sun that's at the same location at 7:30 in the morning. 8BFN 050, these are co-conspirators to murder. This is P.O.C. This is the Bethel congregation where the demons of the Ontario police are stalking me by helicopter at night, where the fake moon is over me at night. This is the fake sun over me during the day. This is a population of co-conspirators of murder who are as a population targeting. And the Ontario police is being disbanded for conspiring murder with the people of the state. And it includes Jason Isaac Fields. It includes Tracy Banks and Eric Corey Spencer. They're going to federal prison. And this is the conduct, the criminal system in operation when a government is conspiring to murder an American citizen. And it is accented with an unabated program of psychological torture and sexual violence and kidnapping. And the entities engaging in this while they are keeping a fake sun. I'm at that bus stop at 7:30 in the morning, and the demon possessor doing the exact same thing, stalking me with impossible light in the video I'll refer you to. And the fake sun is over me 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 hours later, it's over me. It's over me as I'm at the same location. And this is where you're recognizing the pattern of conduct. This is a fake church. They're demons and they're monitoring. And this is the fake sun moving as I move. Gang stalking with the sinners outside. Gang stalking with the wicked demons inside of the building as well. They're not Christ followers. These are demons that congregate. P.O.C. They're monitoring my vagina inside of this fake church. They're engaged in the conspiracy to commit murder inside of this fake church. And they are aiding the government in targeting me. As you see, there is no distinction from the same exact pattern of conduct. All right, this is the P.O.C. and the fake sun is rising in the same position. It's in the same position. This is showing you the illusion. This is where the fake sun is at 7:30 in the morning when I'm right there. And they're engaging in obvious targeting with impossible light shooting off of their passenger sides while the fake sun is still on the driver's side of their vehicles. That's what I'm capturing when I'm on the opposite side. This is the prosecution for conspiring murder by a government. This is P.O.C. It is 11:02 a.m. They're stalking in a path at a fake church. These are demons. The fake sun turns as I turn. That's how you know they're stalking. P.O.C. That's a demon under the fake sun. That's over the same parking lot I was this morning. That's a demon flying a plane. And that's Alaska Airlines that has no international flights, no flight whatsoever taking off over Ceres Regis Group, who's going to be prosecuted at 320 North Euclid Avenue. That's P.O.C. and that's stalking by the city of Ontario in concert with the people of the state who molest me with impossible light, and they're all molesting the perpetual sex offenders underway while a fake sun remains over me. Now I'm walking in the opposite direction on the same street, abandoning from being over me at the fake church where the fake sun is rising at 7:30. This is the entity that is engaging in keeping the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library yesterday morning while I'm inside. And this is the entity that is stalking, as you see, the Ontario Board and the Ontario Executive Team co-conspirators of murder, while Alaska Airlines is engaging in what is stalking domestic terrorism, which it's going to be prosecuted for. It's P.O.C. These are demons. And this is all pacing. They're cockroaches. They're all pacing in engineer light monitoring. P.O.C. That's not a takeoff, and this is where the fake sun is in front of me. And the people of the state are stalking in the path. The sun would not be over the same parking lot. That's ARCO. I'm here at 7:30 in the morning. Leonida Builders Incorporated are demons stalking with light. They're also stalking with light while they're driving in engineer light, while the fake sun is over me at the same parking lot. Okay, that is again the terrorists that are going to be removed from positions that they hold while ongoing domestic terrorism and psychological torture is underway by what is appearing as only on the surface, with as I unveil that what is actually terrorism and conspiracy to murder while you're engaging in terrorism via corrupt actors like the Ontario Board and the Ontario Executive Team. These are co-conspirators of murder as well. And you are going to the far-reaching and mentally depraved extent of stalking with planes that are not taking off at 320 North Euclid Avenue. They're literally hovering over Ceres Regis Group, which is going to be prosecuted for gang stalking. And the fake sun is over me. Take a look at the documentation. I'll upload it because I'm at this same apartment complex where light is manifesting on the apartment building in the shade, and the fake sun is over me at this same apartment building. It's currently 12:51 p.m. This is the pattern of conduct where the entity has the fake sun over me in the same parking lot at 6:45, and the entity is stalking by plane over the same parking lot as I walk outside of that Chevron. This is the 415 North Euclid Avenue where I wake up at 6:30 in the morning. The fake sun is rising in alignment to me. This is the same parking lot in the middle of the day. It's over the top of my head. This is recognizing stalking by demons who are monitoring, and they're sex offenders. And before they commit murder as an entity, they are engaged in an unabated program of psychological torture, harassment, and obsessive and psychopathic and satanic means of stalking with light, with amplified noise. You're doing that when you're stalking with planes, and you're stalking in the supernatural environment that's following me on the same street, Euclid Avenue. The same street. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:51 p.m. I want to be clear. L&D Wapner, Kurt Hagman, Jim Bowman, Julia Gu. This is the entity that's engaging in what is criminal surveillance, and criminal surveillance is committed in concert with the city of Ontario, the airport, and the police department, the fire department. Every level of corrupt government, Paul Leon is maintaining criminal surveillance, and it's committed in furtherance of murder. They're not engaging in just stalking and harassment, which is already established. The point is that it's in furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder, and it's state action. And this is going to be removal of that police department. It's going to be disbanded for what is state-sponsored murder, as the entity's not going to accomplish that against me, but I'm exposing it, and it's in order to prosecute it. All right, this is P.O.C. You'll see the picture of stalking on F Street. The fake sun's over me at Bethel. It's not more. Bethel's over there, and they're stalking. The fake sun's right here over me where Amazon is stalking with the city of Ontario, just like they are with LAPD and Los Angeles under the fake sun. And Amazon is specifically targeting with regard to that pattern of conduct, and that'll be a basis of prosecution as well. This is 12:53 p.m. P.O.C. Flying much closer to the library, where the sun should have been at 10:07, and it wasn't. It was over me, west of the library at the Ontario Town Square, and that's where Southwest, which is the airport, is stalking, and that's where the fake sun is. At 1 o'clock, 6 MIK 492 is a sex offender and a co-conspirator murder, and so is everybody standing under this covering where sunlight is not going to be present, number one, where the sun's not still going to be present, where it should have been this morning at 10 o'clock in an inconsistent environment tailored to me, where you're identifying demons, stalkers, and co-conspirators to murder. And it's the city of Ontario, and this is the Nephilim. OVITT Family Community Library is a facilitating venue, and they're going to prison for kidnapping with the city of Ontario. All right, this is P.O.C. It's 12:58 p.m. This is facilitation for ongoing psychological torture, sexual violence, and gang stalking, which is the commission of a system committed by a government, a public entity that's acting in furtherance of murdering an American citizen. This is P.O.C. The sun would not be over the same inch as the video that I captured yesterday morning at 10:07. This is 1 o'clock, 12:59 p.m. That's not the sun. And it came up the same street, Euclid Avenue, where that airport is stalking in my path, flying over this apartment building down there. And the fake sun is moving where Amazon is stalking, okay, where the people of the state are following, and the people of the state include the commercial airline planes. That's the same Ontario Town Square. None of this is the sun. This is speaking to the identification of the conspiracy to murder committed by a government. P.O.C. The demon-possessed are being prosecuted amongst their pregnant silence. As you can hear, it's 5 p.m. in Southern California. That's Pacific Standard Time. And this is the prosecution of the U.S. government, as I am in the state of California, exposing via a public investigation, which is the worldwide prosecution of the U.S. government, as you're witnessing it. And it will also take place in a federal tribunal based on all of the evidence that I have published for the world to see, because it is relevant to you wherever you are, especially in the United States, but wherever you are in the world. The entity is engaging in what you are listening to. Those are demons. And those are demons that are angry, and their anger has nothing to do with what is judgment, that they are not avoiding, and what is prosecution, that they are certainly not averting, and what is also a solution that they clearly have no ability to approach or fathom, because they keep running and accelerating, as you hear, toward death and their own demise. At 5 p.m., the fake sun is still over me at 224 North Euclid Avenue, just like I captured this morning. And in this environment, you will see uploaded to the Google Drive, where the public investigation of the United States government acting through the people of the state, who are demons. This is the personification of what is demonic behaviors. As you hear engines, they're amplified. The entity is stalking by planes. The entity is stalking by presence under a fake sun that's over the same property. That's speaking to the exclusion of a natural environment in Florida. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is 5:02 p.m. Maintaining serial flight right where I'm located. And this is, again, the mental illness of the demon-possessed that is going to be the removal of the ability to just take an online class and get a pilot license. An ordinary criminal check will include any sort of association with a gang-stalking airport like Ontario International Airport, or a shut-down airport for terrorism like the Ontario International Airport, having any association with it. It will be noted. The entity that's going to be prosecuted as an airport board and as an airport Ontario executive team, they're going to be removed. The Ontario International Airport shall be removed. It's a threat to national security. These are not flights pursuant to any destination where passengers are on them. The entity is engaging in gang stalking with the people of the state, but these are flights that are not pursuant to what is a flight originating from the airport at 2500 Airport Drive. The entity is engaged in what is necessary, flying not only miles away from the airport's Terminal 2 and Terminal 4. Then they're hovering over the 224 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm located. Particularly where I'm situated is where the fake sun is still over the same property, and where an entity is hovering over the property, which is directly opposed to any takeoff that would occur miles away from the airport, from Ontario Town Square, where it would not be heard. at the level that it is heard, and the entity would not be in any environment where the sun would be present. That's directly relevant to proving the Ontario International Airport is engaging in terrorizing and targeting me, also with specific knowledge that it is being documented. Meaning Julia Gu knows that I'm documenting her, and she is a co-conspirator to my murder, as she is that entity that is engaging in what is profiting from being a gang stalker. That's a domestic terrorist and a violent sex offender. Okay, this is an entity that's doing so, and every airlines associated with the Ontario International Airport is also identified as a domestic terrorist and a violent sex offender, a threat to the public, which is directly relevant to even the ability of such airlines to continue, as they are engaged in what is murder as an entity. They are a threat as they're engaging in what is also psychological torture while they are clearly stalking. I literally have evidence of the entity not going within 1 mile, stalking me with planes under the fake sun today. Okay, and this is the entity, as you can hear that plane, that's not a takeoff from the airport. As you can see that plane, and you see it over me, it's not a takeoff from the Ontario International Airport, and neither did the sun go anywhere. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It's currently 5:04 p.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue. License BROK 437. License 88853 Jerry 3. 07980 Zebra 2. License 61907 Paul 3. License looks like 8 Yolanda Zebra Friday 576. License 9 Thomas Yolanda Thomas 158. License 9 Nancy George Sam 020. License 7 Mary Victor Frank 250. That is 5:54 p.m. The City of Ontario still stalking with the fake sun stationary at the same address, 224 North Euclid Avenue. And this is what the people of the state whose license plates I'm documenting now we're doing on the same street, not even 0.3 miles away. It's on the opposite block. I'm at what is on camera at E Street in Euclid, and right now the entity is what is at C Street in Euclid, stalking with planes under the fake sun. Okay, that's 5:54 p.m. License 28059 Jerry 3. That's exactly what that third party is doing. This is an entity co-conspiring murder, engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct of gang stalking, and their demons engaging in that together. License 8 Frank Mary Robert 814. License David Igloo Nancy Edward Robert 0 Bob. I guess that says DINEROB, Dine Rob, perhaps. License 91475 Larry 3. License 8 Mary Frank 975. This is the ARCO employee gang stalking with ARCO at E Street in Euclid. License 9 Thomas Igloo Henry 520. License Charlie Victor Thomas 2904. That's an Arizona plate. 9 Nancy Robert Wendy 524. License 7 Zebra 86862. License 7 Charlie Henry Nancy 722. Okay, the ARCO employee license, again, I have a more clear, I've captured her license plate more than once, but I'm going to make sure I'm reading it accurately. License 9 Thomas Igloo Henry 520. License 8 Apple Berry Apple 419. License 8 Robert Sam Uncle 437. License 7 Xavier Igloo Yolanda 347. That's the Chevron employee. License 7 Kelly 78411. 6 Zebra Jerry Yolanda 155. 6 Victor Apple Sam 590. 2137 Charlie 2. 21237 Charlie 2. 8 Henry Victor Apple 645. I think I read that one. If I did not, there you go. Yeah, I read that one. All right, that is the amplified audible activity while Securitas is gang stalking. Just want to tell you that. Remember, Securitas is kidnapping with the Ontario Police on September 28, 2025. And the entity's gang stalking with the people that are engaging in what is loitering or irrelevant position. That's the legal significance of being in a specific environment where the people of the state are gang stalking Metro 102. This is ongoing real-time criminal conduct in concert with the people of the state while they're monitoring and engaging in these are very psychopathic, very petty and immature while they're going to be facing things like federal prison, criminal records, being mentally examined and facing commitment, and the entities like the Ontario Fire Department being shut down. They're engaged in criminal summoning at Metro 102 where I'm capturing the fake sun at 7 in the morning. They're stalking, they're demons that are manifesting with light activity using a fire truck. While the entity is stalking this frequency of plane flight, again, it's 5:59 and the fake sun is still at 224 North Euclid Avenue. And that's the entity that's doing so while I'm documenting the people of the state doing the exact same thing 1 block north of this location at E Street and Euclid. Okay, P.O.C. That is the precise criminal activity that the stalker inside of Chevron is engaging in, stalking me by being in the path surrounding me in the Chevron market while demons are hovering over E Street and Euclid to keep me under surveillance, stalk me using planes, using all of the money entailed in that, using the resources of a company that's lending its planes to engage in stalking an individual that airline, that airport, that municipality, that person, that population has conspired to murder. Okay, that's why you're investing so much time, money, and resources. And they're doing it now before the world and before, I want to be clear, a federal court that's going to prosecute for conspiracy to murder by a government. That's very psychopathic while they're engaging in that. And everyone knows what's coming. And it includes everyone knows. Okay, license 8ABA419 is engaging in the criminal conduct that's underway right now as an entity. That's why the fake sun between E Street and C Street is still in alignment to me at the same address. P.O.C. License, and that's a psychopath that is conspiring murder. In fact, stalking me inside of a small market. It's a threat to my safety and my well-being. Again, license 8 Yolanda Barry Nancy 485. License 88290 Larry 3. 5 Yolanda Thomas David 887. License 7 License 7 Uncle Queen Thomas 765. License 11638 Frank 3. That's what it looks like. License 7 Victor Yolanda Henry 842. 4 Larry Edward Kelly 191. License 888, License 886 Xavier Frank. That's a handicap plate. License 8 Larry Yolanda George 658. License 7 Zebra Thomas Nancy 118.
License 59044 Edward 2. Also, what you're going to deduce from the evidence when you are prosecuting corrupt businesses like Securitas that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring while employing domestic terrorists, maliciously acting in furtherance with the government that uses the venue to engage in targeting American citizens in the way that the city of Ontario is. Securitas is under the fake sun this morning as I'm capturing it. For example, 10:44 a.m. and I'm capturing Securitas under the same enduring fake sun, which is not in Los Angeles while I'm looking at it on the same property. It's not in alignment, by the way, because I have evidence of the entity stalking with a fake sun in Los Angeles, and it's outside of my bedroom window, including during the same time of year. We are still within daylight savings time, and that is not going to be perfectly aimed through my bedroom window at Alvarado Gardens in building 1806, apartment number 6, while it's facing Alvarado Street, after it remained over Alvarado Gardens over me all day long, including at sunrise. This is where Securitas is surrounded with evidence that they are specifically targeting me while maliciously acting as a third-party employee of a third-party company that's committed kidnapping at the venue in concert with the city of Ontario that is employing planes and helicopters under the fake sun. And Securitas is under the fake sun at the same address as I'm documenting in the images, 10 o'clock, and still remaining as I'm capturing at the latter part of 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. All right, that's understanding the pattern of conduct as well, including the fake sun being over me at Wells Fargo at 8 o'clock in the morning, and being over me at Wells Fargo at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and being over me at Wells Fargo at sunset. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct when you're going to prosecute establishments that are engaged in gang stalking. Their employees are, their patrons are, the government is. That's the P.O.C. License plate 8 Frank Nancy Frank 082. 9 Henry Bob Robert 065. 9 George Thomas Paul 098. 9 Sam Edward Charlie 977. 6 Frank Uncle 339. 8 Zebra Igloo Henry 812. Third party Spectrum license plate 66061 Zebra 1. License 10972 Edward 1. 9 Larry Mary Xavier 283. 7 Larry Edward Wendy 863. Looks like 8 Jerry Mary Uncle 939. Or 8 Jerry Mary 938. But it's uploaded to the Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and not read that one. You can skip that one because it's not too clear. But it is uploaded. I'm not going to delete that image. License 9 Henry Queen Nancy. 9 Henry 0 Nancy 982. 5 Uncle Robert Jerry 843. 8 Paul Yolanda Frank 176. Looks like license 88 Jerry Wendy 836. Okay, I have it. 8 Bob Jerry Wendy 836. That's 8 Bob Jerry Wendy 836. 6 Zebra Mary Robert 802. Because I didn't read that one already. License 6 Victor 0 Victor 539. Looks like 8 Henry Jerry Zebra 821. It's like 88692 Barry 3. Looks like 8 Robert, Jerry, Xavier, 4, 5, 3. Or rather, that could be a P2. I'm going to leave that one on the Google Drive. I'm not going to try to read it. It's not too legible. But it's on the Google Drive. 9 Mary, Mary, Robert, 817. 9 Larry, 0 Thomas, 122. 8 Xavier, Edward, Uncle, 646. 9 Nancy, Charlie, Uncle, 926. 9 David, Victor, Jerry, 726. 7 Zebra, Bob, Zebra, 748. 8 Victor, Apple, Paul, 245. 8 Victor, 0 Edward, 793. 9 Victor, David, Sam, 023. 8 Frank, Wendy, Kelly, 970. 7 Thomas, George, Frank, 122. 9 Nancy, Charlie, Uncle, 926, in case I didn't read that one already. 7 Yolanda, Paul, Zebra, 596. 9 Paul, Nancy, Victor, 356. 8 George, Mary, Larry, 698. Again, 8 George, Mary, Larry, 698. Excuse me. And license. Those are demons that are monitoring. License. This is so funny because the entity is both petrified, scared, but still stalking. That's also relevant when they're prosecuted. License 8 George, Mary, Larry, 698. That's that license plate. License 13441 David 4. License 9 Edward Larry Bob 696, I believe. 9 Edward Larry Bob 694 is the correct license plate. Again, 9 Edward Larry Bob 694. Six Henry David Yolanda 624. And again, license Igloo Sam Henry 4 Xavier 4. Documenting this third party several times. I'm documenting many of the people state several times. But the entity is, remember, engaging in criminal surveillance. The entity that's engaging in criminal surveillance by the nature of the crime are maintaining surveillance of the evidence, documenting them, engaging in surveillance. And so gang stalkers that are repeatedly, systematically engaging in gang stalking you, meaning conspicuously being in your path, you see them, they're stalking you. Even while you don't see them, you are under surveillance by the whole state. And when the entities engage in that, they are doing so with knowledge that they are under surveillance, and the entity is doing so with regard to having no constitutional right or protection or defense from that. And this is good that you are going to be prosecuted for that, which is a malicious pattern of conduct, where you don't have a defense to say, well, I can't help because I drive that route to work every day. Neither can the targeted individual help being gang stalked by the population, and that's the convenience with which the demons design the system. Now that malice is flipping on its head to prosecute them. And they know very well where the targeted individual is at. They take every turn, every route that they take to cross path with that particular American citizen. This demon, again, documented many times, I.S.H. 4 Xavier 4, and they know that I pointed that out. The demons who are psychopaths, who are engaging in what is a failed effort of psychologically torturing the federal prosecutor, I'm going to use it to prosecute you. You're doing everything with ongoing real-time knowledge. That's P.O.C. Again, license plate of this sex offender, Igloo Sam Henry 4 Xavier 4. License 8 Nancy Zebra Larry 954. License 81130 George 3 Amazon Prime gang stalking. License 91495 George 3. License 8 Victor 27791. And remember, when I'm documenting third parties, I'm documenting Spectrum, the company, to be prosecuted as the people of the state, and the third party operating that commercial vehicle is a separate third party and a means of prosecution. Okay? License 4 Edward David Paul 588. Looks like they scratched out their license plate. It's on a it's captured at 11:23 and 2 seconds, and it is an old Jeep Cherokee. Looks like they scratched out their license plate a little bit. License 8 Zebra Edward Nancy 088. License 8 Victor Charlie David 645. License 7 Mary Xavier Yolanda 637. 914, excuse me, 91495G3. Yeah, that's the same one that was at Wells Fargo. 91495G3. He's following around the corner. Okay. License George Apple Larry 371. License 6 Larry Edward Apple 800. 9 George Victor Kelly 182. 5 Thomas Edward Jerry 556. Let's see. License 95950 Zebra 2. 2 third parties operating Amazon Prime that is gang stalking. And Amazon Prime is gang stalking with specific knowledge that it's being documented. Amazon Prime is engaged in surveillance. Massive surveillance. They sell products keeping American citizens under surveillance. Yeah, and they're specifically engaging in surveillance, I'm documenting Amazon Prime targeting me in multiple cities and counties. And they are crossing path, gang stalking with, again, that license plate is license 95950 Zebra 2. License 6 Yolanda Xavier Thomas 324. License 8 Henry Zebra Thomas 415. 8 Uncle Thomas George 369. 5 Edward Sam Lorraine 658. David Frank 89 Henry 11. That's a paper plate. License 8 Edward Sam Bob 788. License 9 Bob Jerry Kelly 688. License 9 Uncle Bob Mary 838. Five Xavier Thomas George 272. 9 Robert Paul Sam 778. 19662 Edward 3. Monitoring my vagina on behalf of an entity in the OVITT Family Community Library. Five Sam Kelly 313. 6 Victor George Tom 623. 16876 Edward 4. 8 Larry Charlie Bob 738. 6 Edward Zebra Bobs 214. 9 Bob Edward Nancy 718. 9 Anthony Thomas Yolanda 008. 3 George Igloo Frank 507. Gang stalking with minor children, doing so by pacing and stalking with impossible light activity while the children get in their car while that demon is engaging in what is monitoring me with impossible light because that demon knows that she was documented. Again, license 3 George Igloo Frank 507. Alright, this video that you're going to listen to is captured at 6:38 p.m. at the same address, which is the Ontario Town Square, where I'm documenting the fake sun. When you're looking at a map, bigger picture, I come from 537 North Euclid Avenue to what is approximately 0.3 miles, meaning I'm going between F Street, F as in Frank, and Euclid Avenue, and C Street and Euclid Avenue. So F, E, D, and C, not going beyond C as in Charlie. That is the OVITT Family Community Library. This is where the entity kept the fake sun today, from sunrise until sunset, and I documented that fake sun being over me at the Ontario Town Square for the tail end of the day where the sunset occurs. This is where the Ontario International Airport, again, the domestic terrorists whose names are, I want to make sure I publicly expose, because these are the domestic terrorists that are going to be removed from office. The Ontario executive team: Atif El-Kadi, Karen Kavanagh, Angela Lauber-Conroy, Celeste Heinonen, Charles Miwa, Elisa Gray, James Kessler, Jamal Aviles, Aaron Cello. Any domestic terrorist that is, which is what they are, in this position of authority over the airport, that is engaged in domestic terrorism, that is stalking and terrorizing and harassing using the spectacular and unheard of, unfathomably demented psychopathic, which is designed to psychologically torture and torment and terrorize an American citizen using commercial airline planes, using the functions, the resources of an airport in the city of Ontario, that is keeping a fake sun over me from sunrise until sunset, that is targeting me through every level of government, that is targeting me in concert with the civilian population. This Ontario executive team and the Ontario board, whose names I will go over, any immigrants are going to be subject to deportation. The entirety of this board is going to be prosecuted for what is terrorism, domestic terrorism, as it is exposed at the Ontario International Airport, a function of the corrupt municipality, the City of Ontario acting via, the State of California acting via the City of Ontario. And the entity is also engaged in this conduct with regard to what is criminal facilitation. Criminal facilitation is merely the crime that is enabling everyone else and every other aspect of that entity to engage in the same criminal acts, which is a whole other level of an unlawful threat to an American citizen that you have conspired to murder. That is, the millions of people that are gang stalking are doing so through the corrupt and criminal practices of the Ontario International Airport, which is an unprecedented, albeit one to be very specifically attended to under federal law, given very specific attention, and given what is under federal legislation is to be given due attention regarding what is going to occur as domestic terrorism is exposed in the United States, in the way in which the states are engaging in targeting American citizens, gang stalking them, where a population and a government is targeting American citizens individually, as opposed to an individual that is targeting, or even a collective group like some radical government group, some anarchist club or something, targeting and terrorizing, or some gang member like they like to categorize Bloods and Crips. But the entity is not engaging in what is unprecedented with regard to exposing terrorism, and it is the government and every third party, who are the people of the state, that are targeting, and that is proven. There's no exception. There is no neighborhood. There's no location in the state of California that's not engaged in what I've exposed. And it is shown through what is an environment that you are also aware of, that's speaking to what is supernatural. And that's getting to the demonic features of a criminal system that the government is practicing. And the Ontario International Airport is a national security threat. And it's changing laws that are also relevant, ancillary, regarding the ways in which you are going to disincentivize and implode the system. That is changing the ability to get a pilot license. That is labeling criminals and terrorists based on their engagement with the airlines, based on their engagement with the airports. That is the entity that is going to be shut down when engaged in kidnapping, when engaged in the prolonged years of terrorism, conspiracy to murder, like the Ontario International Airport is. The impunity that the Ontario International Airport has exhibited, which is the city of Ontario, the state of California, and the people of the state. They act as one. They communicate a threat as one. Okay, as I document, another demon flies seconds later. As I document that, another demon flies seconds later. These are psychopaths stalking in commercial planes, and that's attributed to the commercial airline companies themselves. It's attributed to every demon sitting on the executive team and the airport board. Every corrupt official in the city of Ontario. Speaking to what's going on statewide in California, under the corrupt leadership of Gavin Newsom, who was not ignorant about surveillance that I'm exposing under his watch. All right, license, Julia Gu. Excuse me, not license. This is commissioner, actually. This is what she calls herself. This is nothing other than a demon. She's a demon. She's a mentally ill psychopath who's engaged in what is profiting from terrorism that she is enabling and she is aware of. They know exactly what these planes are doing. They know where these planes are going. They're aware of what is going on in concert with the city and in concert with the state. That's why I'm able to go to every other city that I have and show the same pattern of conduct. John Wayne Airport, okay, the airport in Las Vegas, Nevada, LAX, the entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct from city to city, the San Bernardino Airport, the airport in Upland, California, the entities maintaining surveillance using planes stalking me in Pomona. Okay, the entities engaging in a pattern of conduct using planes, the commercial planes regarding commercial planes engaging in targeting American citizens. The entity is doing that, and it's also context regarding the implications of the threat of terrorists having access and going outside of the state, threatening American citizens in ways in which they need to be not only aware of, but protected from. And that is necessitating removal of the Ontario International Airport, an exposed enemy of the United States and terrorist. And that's what's relevant to the video that you're going to listen to. And the Ontario board includes Julia Gu, Jim Bowman, Alan D. Wapner, Kurt Hagman, and Ronald Loveridge, who are being prosecuted for the ongoing terrorism that is underway via the Ontario Police Department. Very obvious criminal conduct that they will be held accountable for, as well as the airlines, as well as the state and the people of the state. But the airport itself, the entity had the fake sun over basically 3 blocks today, from Euclid Avenue, F, D, E, and C. That would be 4 blocks. That's it. It didn't go beyond there. It did not go beyond Euclid Avenue, the fake sun rise and set. And it's in alignment to me as I document that. That's the entity that's torturing me, and the Ontario International Airport, the City of Ontario, is directly responsible for that. And the City of Ontario has conspired murder, which is an unprecedented criminal act committed by a municipality. And it is terrorism in the U.S., and it shall be the removal of that Ontario International Airport. And companies that you need to know are engaging in that. It includes companies that are making products that you use, by the way, such as Amazon. Amazon Prime Air is gang stalking, and they're using their planes to engage in terrorizing American citizens. As I'm not the only person that Amazon Prime Air has targeted with their commercial planes, has conspired to murder by gang stalking using their commercial planes and their vehicles where demons are operating them and molesting me with impossible light and targeting me in vehicles, engaging in assault with a deadly weapon because they're trying to rush and run lights in order to cross paths with me on behalf of the City of Ontario. Demons. Operating Amazon Prime vehicles, operating Amazon Prime commercial planes, doing so as psychopaths under a fake sun. Bezos knows all about it. He is a terrorist leader that's engaged in the capitalistic endeavors regarding domestic terrorism in the United States. Not different from terrorist leaders that are calling themselves chief of police, like Mike Lorenz, or Dominic Choi, or Michael Moore. Okay, and you fill in the blank because this is the same pattern of conduct. Bezos is more so concerned with making a lot of money off of terrorism. And that he has done. Okay, they need to be put in the proper perspective. They need to be exposed for who they are and what they are and what they're doing and what they are responsible for, because they're not ignorantly maintaining a whole workforce, maintaining a whole venue, a whole government that's engaging in targeting in the ways in which the specific pattern of conduct proves to a scientific degree of precision. All right, that is Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, Avianca, China Airlines, Delta Airlines, Frontier Airlines, JetBlue, Southwest, Starlex, United Airlines, and Volaris. Documented engagement in what is personally threatening me, flying over the top of my head on the sidewalk. All right, engaging in psychopathic pacing, having nothing to do with the airport that would have planes departing at that level of frequency like the freeway is in the sky space over me. This is the entity that has personally gone out of its way to threaten my life and conspire my murder. That's why you're monitoring. The entity engages in an unabated program of psychological torture and sexual violence before it takes your life. This is the video you're going to listen to pursuant to that ongoing criminal pattern of conduct. It is captured at what is 6:34 p.m. and this is P.O.C.
You're paying attention to while the entity has been maintaining serial flight right here where I'm at by the clock and right here. The entity is going to engage in what is stalking by going what is north as I go north and will not be flying over the Ontario Town Square at all. They're never flying at a distance away from the square, and they're coming in this direction making a U-turn or flying back, but they're not engaging what is flight south of me, nor are they north of me. As I go north, that's when the stalkers that are using planes that are going to be removed altogether as an airport that are incriminating these are demons. There are scores and scores and scores of demons. The entire city of Ontario is getting stalking, but this is just an idea of the sex offense that is incalculable with regard to the sexual harms by a population keeping you under surveillance in places like bathrooms, listening to everything that you're doing, listening to your heartbeat, monitoring you and stalking you in your sleep, everywhere that you're going. And the entity is going to be engaging in stalking on the opposite side of the same apartment building that it was this morning at 7 a.m. That's not amber light from a sunset. These are demons. Okay, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 6:32 p.m. Julia Gu, Jim Bowman, Kurt Hagman, Alan D. WAPNER. These are the demons that are going to be removed from position. The Ontario International Airport shall be no more. That's criminal summoning while the Ontario International Airport is engaging in gang stalking aerial surveillance. And criminal facilitation is also why it's being shut down. The fire department, gang stalker, and everyone knows that the police department is not a police department. It's P.O.C. That's the same criminal system. This is stalking in the path. That's a demon. This is stalking in the path. That's a demon. That's light activity. AMR is heavily documented, surrounded with evidence, stalking me in every hotel, at every restaurant, at every location in Ontario, including outside of Ontario. That's amplified audible activity and light activity, which they do under the fake sun that remained here from 7 until 6 p.m. today. That's the public corruption of the city of Ontario, removing Michael GERKEN and Mike LORENZ, removing every demon sitting on the so-called Ontario board, where there is no need for a national security threat existing any longer, calling itself an Ontario Police Department. That's P.O.C. It is currently the ongoing monitoring, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing together. All right, and this is the conspiracy to commit murder. The city of Ontario is going to be gutted out. It's going to be stripped. No police department that's engaging in terrorism is going to exist after I'm done prosecuting. No fire department engaging in terrorism. AMR is exposed as a domestic terrorist. Their contract engaging in surveillance with Ontario is over, and I'm going to prosecute them for engaging in what is conspiring my murder, and then I'm going to prosecute for that. That's an unlawful threat, and the facilitation with millions of people is an unlawful threat, the basis of which you're removing and gutting out the city of Ontario. Paul Leon no longer being able to sit and being paid to be a terrorist leader. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:34 p.m.
I just want to make sure it is clear. This is the criminal conduct that is committed in furtherance of murder. Gang stalking as a statewide effort, gang stalking as a city, as a population, as a police department even, is committed reasonably in furtherance of the loss of life, which is a murder. It's not an accident. It's not an act of negligence. It's not an unfortunate coexisting circumstance regarding what is separate, meaning that target individual was targeted and then they just so happen to lose their life and that there's no nexus to that. It is reasonably resulting in the loss of life, which is a homicide, an intentional taking of another human life. And this is the evidence speaking to what is gang stalking in the first place. The government engages in sacrifices as they practice what is witchcraft, but you are prosecuting as what it is. It's conspiracy to commit murder. The airport, the police department, as they are targeting me together, threatening me as one, in concert with the people, acting as one single unified entity. This is an entity that's engaged in what is, in fact, conspiracy to commit murder as an entity. That's P.O.C.
walk over here so I can show you. The airport is indeed stalking me specifically. While I've been over sitting at the wall for hours, the entity's maintaining serial flight strictly right there like I stated. So this is the OVITT Family Community Library. So I'm walking what is north by the parking garage. They're stalking with light in the parking garage. They're monitoring. They've been monitoring the whole time I've been at the square as well. That's light activity. Downtown luxury apartments that have the fake sun over it all day long, by the way. And the entity flying over this apartment building while I'm at the ARCO, the Chevron, walking down the street. And the entity is stalking with planes coming right over here to fly over the C Street turn circle over the Family Community Library as I come over here. This is the entity that's engaged in that stalking, and I want to be clear, as I'm documenting Julia Gu and Kurt Hagman and Jim Bowman, Alan D. Wapner, Mike LORENZ, these are co-conspirators of my murder. They're acting in concert with the people of the state who are stalking as a whole population. This is relevant to stalking. It's in a specific environment. They're an engineer light, creating light activity. A bunch of demons are in their cars. It's not about charging their Teslas. They're stalking in the path. In concert with the government that's maintaining plane activity and helicopter activity over me where I go. This is the entity that's doing so, like I stated, as I walk. And these are demons that are in traffic, maintaining a perimeter of light around me, molesting my person with light. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:29 p.m. That's the ongoing terrorism by the those demons of the Ontario International Airport. They are indeed going to be federally prosecuted for this ongoing documentation of terrorism. And they're facilitating it amongst psychopaths that are stalking, because that's what that is. They're stalking in the path with light. It's just like flying in the opposite directions. Those demons are stalking me. They're maintaining presence as an entity, driving in all manner of directions while I'm walking up north. And the entity is stalking with planes and helicopters in concert with them. P.O.C.
The entity is engaged in what is sexual assault and battery while they are stalking me. The entity is engaged in hundreds and hundreds of times of molesting my body as stalkers are following me where I go. And the entity is also following with what is light that is under no circumstances not even naturally occurring, but also not going to touch me in the manner that it is, which is relevant to the terrorism by the psychopaths and the violent sex offenders who are indeed stalking. You can hear them in the background. They are engaging in the ongoing commission of sexual violence, and they're doing so, which is state-sponsored sexual violence. So this is relevant to the, as I've turned to the perpetual sex offense that is engaged in by businesses. Sarah's Regis is engaged in the sexual violence. A sex offender, the City of Ontario, the Ontario Town Square, Mule Cart Smokehouse, the OVITT Family Community Library, that's the City of Ontario again, the Ontario Police Department, that's the City of Ontario, the Ontario Fire Department, that's the City of Ontario, the entity engaging in that, which is the Ontario International Airport. While they're stalking in planes, you're subject to a massive sex offense while demons are circulating around you, touching you with impossible light activity, light that's flying around in the air, just appearing out of nowhere to touch you all over the place. And this is while they're monitoring you, okay? Demons are psychopaths, and this is relevant to mental illness. I do capture that in screenshots, capturing what is the entity that's engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct, and I capture what is the the ability to identify mental illness by the demon possessed that are stalking in the ways in which that they are. And they also do so pursuant to communicating hostility. They engage in sexual violence and psychopathic behavior when they are infuriated, frustrated, hostile. They engage in, and they're hostile based on what they're doing. So they're angry at you for their stalking you. They're angry at you for your reporting that they're stalking you. This is relevant to what is, again, mental illness. And I do include these labels when I'm capturing screenshots of demons who are mentally ill, psychopaths, very violent sex offenders, okay? They engaged in keeping a fake sun between the blocks of F and C over me on Euclid Avenue. This is mental illness that is shared by a population and every business that is operated by demons who have the same mental illness, engaging in the same criminal system, which is within the state's pattern of conduct, the City of Ontario. So I just want to be clear, bigger picture, Paul Leon suffers from the same mental illness. He's a psychopath. This is the ability to categorically make those assessments based on the population that's sharing that pattern of conduct, sharing that environment, sharing that behavioral pattern regarding criminal conduct, malicious in nature, and demented, and sexually motivated. Okay, that is who I'm documenting, by the way, is Paul Leon, who's a sex offender who's going to be removed from office because of it. He's also a stalker. He's going to be removed because of it. He's a demon, and everyone needs to know that. He is a part of the Nephilim, and he's going to be removed for engaging in what is terrorism and sponsoring it, facilitating it, enabling it, and engaging in more of it as I have been documenting him, and he is aware of it based on the nature of the crime of surveillance that he is engaging in, the Ontario City Hall is engaged in, the entire city of Ontario is engaged in. So this is documenting, again, what is the entity full of sex offenders. I document them also by license plate, and this is for the purposes of documenting and making available to the public, and it will be made available on a greater scale regarding something analogous to a database identifying predators. Predators that are not, it's bad enough to be a child molester, it's bad enough to be a pedophile, to be a rapist, all right, to be some sort of voyeurist, somebody that, a sex trafficker. This is an entity that's engaging in that which is even greater with regard to the harm because of, you're talking about pure numerosity on one level of analysis, because it's the government, that's another. And because of the actor itself, the identity of the actor, it is because of that population that is acting as the public entity. The entity is acting as a predator that is getting away with sexual violence, if you will. That's the design of the system. Okay, so that is speaking to a particular type of harm as well. But if, again, prosecution documentation is addressing that. But this is sexual violence that a government is engaging in while maintaining the illusion is that there's a criminal justice system and we deal with sex offenders. So the clerk in the ARCO is not a sex offender by virtue of that coexisting reality. And that's an illusion. That clerk is a demon, is a sex offender, and is molesting you while you're paying money for gas, and your body's being molested, your backside's being touched with light that's appearing on the inside of the gas station that doesn't have any windows, and the door is closed. So where's light coming from? It's manifesting out of nowhere, and they're touching your genitalia, touching your thighs, touching your body all over with light. And this psychopath sitting on the opposite side taking your money like it's not happening. That's the malicious psychopath. That's a violent sex offender that is psychologically torturing you at the same time. And they're doing it to commit murder. And that ARCO clerk is a co-conspirator to murder with the government. And that is relevant for what is a federal prosecution as a sex offender, the perpetual sex offense, which is committed as an entity. And it's going on domestic terrorist criminal record because it's a sex offense committed by the government. And it's a sex offense committed in furtherance of murder. Sexual violence that precedes murder that the government commits. Okay? So it is that which is relevant to what is the objective to take the human life of an American citizen, to kidnap an American citizen. That sort of violence is what is inherent to this sex offense, a sexual assault and battery with engineered light, while they're monitoring you. Okay, and the entity engages in more of this violence, which is relevant to psychological torture, the more that you document. That's what they're doing now, and this is what is occurring at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun rose over me, and this is where demons are stalking me, stalking right now, and this is where the entity is doing so, keeping the fake sun where it's set 0.3 miles from here at C Street in Euclid at the same Ontario Town Square. Okay, that's a sex offense while the fake sun sat over me all day long. While demons paced all around me all day long, they're mentally ill and they're violent sex offenders. And many I am documenting by license plate, by venue, by name and images. All right, and that's just an indication with regard to knowledge of everyone, because with regard to where I'm at and what I'm documenting, what's going on and who's around, and a paper trail and technology to document everything else or to capture everything else to prosecute, that's the ability to know everybody and to prosecute everyone. So like I said, this is the entity that's acting together. So I want to be clear, Tracy Banks is severely mentally ill. Tracy Banks is one that the entity is targeting me in concert with. Tracy Banks is a violent sex offender. She's a psychopath. She is of the Nephilim, and she's a predator with regard to targeting her own relative, which is what I am to her. She is my mother, ostensibly, and she's engaged in what is gang stalking me because she intends to murder me. She's a co-conspirator to murder with every other business, every other state actor, every other department in Ontario, every other police department in California, every other third-party actor. The entire Woodside Senior Apartment's gang stalking me with Tracy Banks, and that's how bad she wants me dead. Okay, the entity is gang stalking in concert with her on her behalf, if you will. And it's the same with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. He is a demon, number one, and he's a psychopath. The same mental illness. While I am being subject to what is a molestation hundreds of times all day long. Hundreds of times. The entity engaged in what is all manner of ridiculous light activity while they're stalking. Not only is it a sex offense, it's not even going to happen if you weren't stalking me. That's the entity that's going to be prosecuted. Okay, for not only the sexual violence, but for the psychological harms inherent to that particular type of sexual violence, which has never been before contemplated even under federal law, ever. It's never been contemplated before, but it's proven. And it is a part of what is violating the person of the target individual, of an American citizen, who has a right to not have their genitalia scanned with engineered light, who has a right to not have their genitalia kept under surveillance, who has a right to not be touched under any circumstances by any method by stalkers, who don't even have a right to be in your path, because this is criminal surveillance by the government. That means everywhere at all times. So you're talking about nobody, based on criminal surveillance that the government has no right to engage in under any circumstances, nobody, including the police, being anywhere in the path to engage in the sex offense of gang stalking me. And they are. That's when you're understanding the incalculable harms and relevant to what is totally avoidable harms, sexually motivated, predatory in nature. And that is shared by and committed by what is Jason Isaac Fields, a sex offender, a demon, a witch, a nymphomaniac, a pervert, all right, a sex trafficker. Somebody that's engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct with a whole police department engaging in this sexual violence while they're stalking me in helicopters and in airplanes. That's the pattern of conduct, okay? So I'm going to document this, and this is, I've documented many license plates already and everything. This is not just these license plates that I'm going to read right now. All the license plates that I documented, they share in a sex offense. This is the significance of stalking with the fake son. It's an ongoing battery, a harmful touching that is unlawful. It is an unlawful, ceaseless untouching. It is a demonic orgy, a sex crime. It's a sex act that the entity is forcing you to be subject to while they want to obsessively stalk and monitor you. And then the demons have the audacity to be hostile, like the predator at Wells Fargo, when he goes out of his way to go to that Wells Fargo, stalking me and doing so with the demons of the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport. Stalking me from ARCO at 537 North Euclid Avenue with impossible light. ARCO is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. Chevron's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. The City of Ontario is going to be prosecuted as a violent sex offender. That is removing the mayor, Paul Leon. That's not a mayor. When the city's engaged in gang stalking, that is removing, and it is irresponsible speech to refer to a domestic terrorist as a mayor. This is exposing public corruption, and it is putting everything in its proper perspective. You're not a mayor when you're a gang stalking psychopath that's engaged in public corruption. You're a terrorist, and a covert one that's been exposed. You're not a police officer when you're gang stalking. You're not a law-abiding citizen. You're a demon. That's why you're stalking with light. You're a demon. A demon-possessed gang stalker, a terrorist is what you are. And they will be subject to federal prosecutions. They will be subject to what are being addressed and prosecuted as sex offenders. They will be deported. They will be removed from office. They will be disbanded and removed from law enforcement. They will be removed altogether as any sort of threat to the public, like the Ontario International Airport shall, and like the Ontario Fire Department, and like sex offenders that are operating ambulances, where they merely sound sirens, engaging in criminal conduct because they want to drown out the evidence that I'm capturing, which is not drowning out the evidence. It's more criminal monitoring, but it's demons who are delusional while they're just engaging in what is frenzied conduct, and they're still gang stalking. Those are demons that want to engage in conduct, but they don't want to hear about it, and they don't want you to talk, so they'll engage in loud conduct, and it's still the elements of monitoring. Okay? Every company who's a sex offender, Amazon Prime, documented today. Amazon Prime remains a part of the entity, regardless of the fact that I'm documenting them today. Spectrum, a sex offender, documented them well before today. They remain a part of the entity, and they are a sex offender. Okay, the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and it is speaking to every company. Leonida Builders Incorporated. They're not just a sex offender on the morning when they're engaging in what is molesting under the fake sun, and they're pacing around like cockroaches in utility vehicles with flashing lights on the top, monitoring me and outwardly appearing focused on construction work when all they're doing is stalking. They're stalking maliciously under a company name. The Leonida Builders is a sex offender, and I'm documenting them 24 hours a day. Okay? That's the entity that's engaging in sexual violence and engaging in that hundreds of times, that becomes thousands of times that you are violated sexually. On top of the fact that the entity is keeping you under surveillance in private spaces, a whole other level of being violated sexually. That's going under business names. That's going under a public entity, California. That's going under the public entity, the city of Ontario. That's the basis of disbanding Ontario Police, the basis of removing Ontario International Airport, shutting it down, removing predators like Alan D. WAPNER from office, removing Paul Leon from office. Sexual violence committed by the city. That's an unprecedented basis for public removal. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Sexual violence committed by the population, an unprecedented basis for terrorists to be deported, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay? Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks, they're going to federal prison for the sexual violence that I'm subject to. And it's so violent, it's so malicious, it's so evil and wicked, it's never been heard of. It's not even existing in the books, because the government's engaging in what is never supposed to be exposed. The target individual is supposed to be dead and never speaks about it. That's also why Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are going to prison. In addition to the fact that they threaten my life, their obsession is greater than what their sick minds can comprehend. And so federal prison and mental examinations is also necessary for their protection, for their safety, but also for mine, as stalkers that have demonstrated that they have no intention to stop stalking me, just like the city of Ontario and the state of California is proving. Jason Fields and Tracy Banks going to federal prison is a matter of justice. And you're not going to engage in gang stalking me and avoid it in the first place. They've stolen my money. They've stolen years of my not being homeless on the streets. I should be years into my, not my education, but my career as an attorney. That was essentially, apart from what is money and property that belongs to me, that's a whole alternative career route that I should be years into. Because of Jason Fields, he's going to prison for it. That's not just merely messing up my career. He did that to commit murder. He intended for me to not have a career, not have anywhere to live, to defame me, paint me as a crackhead, a crack whore that infected him and other people with HIV, and that's why I turned up dead somewhere and nobody knows where I'm at. He's going to federal prison. And there is no narrative that's going to avoid that. Okay? He's going to federal prison for facilitating terrorism against an American citizen. He is an incompetent federal official, a terrorist. He's basically a terrorist that wants to have a change of heart and try to redeem and rehabilitate. That's impossible. He is a terrorist. He remains a terrorist. I'm still subject to gang stalking. I'm still sleeping outside on the bench. I'm still being subject to a sex offense with all of his co-defendants, all the psychopaths that he's been having sex rituals with over the years, including Tracy Banks. All of them driving around here gang stalking me with HIV. All the demons out here that took out PPP loans in my name, stalking me, knowing who I am, committed crimes in my name, and they're gang stalking me. And they're upset, they're very angry, and they engage in more gang stalking because I didn't drop dead from witchcraft, and I'm documenting them. And I'm calling them names like sex offender, and terrorist, and future deportee, and felon, and psychopath. All of them appropriate, fitting, based on what they've done and what they're still doing. And Fields is going to prison. Okay? Fields is going to prison for every sex act that I'm a victim of, for every criminal act that I am subject to, for the ongoing gang stalking that I remain subject to. And it is the government's responsibility that someone as incompetent as Fields is never permitted under the law in my presence. I've stated it before, and I stated it again. And anybody, and I also said this when I was in Woodside Senior Apartments, when these demons were very much triggered and fearful of what it is that I said was going to happen, which is what is happening now. Tracy Banks and Fields are going to regret what they've done. They engaged in, remember I stated that they're the entity I'm going to prosecute, and the entity is going to serve consequences that they haven't fathomed. They were engaged in what is, then they, Tracy Banks, then they committed kidnapping on May 29th. That was out of fear, the things that I was stating on my podcast. They thought that kidnapping was going to be permanent, that tactic of criminal defamation was going to stick. It didn't. The entity engaged in kidnapping me more since I've been unlawfully evicted from the gang stalker Tracy Banks' apartment, which is criminal conduct by the Ontario police, who have no authority on the streets. They're engaging in exercising fictitious authority. That's why Fields is going to prison. That's why Tracy Banks is going to prison. That's why the people that say criminal summoning and harassment with and kidnapping with the Ontario, that's why they're all going to prison. The entity's still stalking day and night by helicopter while they're engaging in all of that before and every day, every morning and every evening, every middle of the afternoon, in other words. They're stalking me by helicopter. That's why Fields is going to prison. You're not getting out of prison. And I stated this before it happened. And the demons that are very fearful of the force with which I speak, the authority and the intensity because of my assertiveness, because I speak as though I know that it's true because it is true, they're fearful of that. And so it caused Tracy Banks to do something like come home out of nowhere and then just and committed kidnapping on May 29, 2025. She did that with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. They did that together. And that's because they're petrified of what it is that I said is going to happen, and it is. Who's going to drop dead from death spells? Because it's not going to be Erica Spencer. Those death spells can manifest in many different ways. HIV, they've manifested death in many, many ways. The entities engage in ongoing sexual violence, however, until the entity has been subject to a federal prosecution, which is what I said is going to happen years ago as well. Fields is going to federal prison for every sex offender that I'm documenting, for every act of federal group stalking and monitoring by the entity stalking me around the city with helicopters. Fields is going to prison for it. You cannot quantify those harms. You cannot take that back. And you also cannot negotiate out of it. He's going to federal prison. And the federal government's responsibility is to make sure that a terrorist like him is never permitted into my presence. The entity is trying to still, even in the face of being on social media, trying to remove my ability to use the social media in all the ways in which it's designed to use. For example, being able to share amongst the different platforms on the apps and on the internet. That's pursuant to federal stalking. But for example, not being able to share from Threads to Instagram, when those are one and the same, they're like cousins regarding social media. That's relevant to federal stalking. Not being able to share from Facebook to Instagram. Again, basically, the Facebook and Instagram are basically like brother and sister, and Threads and Instagram are like cousins. And that's, again, relevant to federal stalking. While they're shining me with light, molesting me with light, and stalking me by planes and helicopters as I publish it. This is the entity that's engaging in that. Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks are benefiting from it. They both seek to avoid federal prison. They both seek to conceal the criminal acts that they've committed. They're both still gang stalking me in concert with this entity while they're seeking to obstruct justice in that manner. They're both going to federal prison. Both of them. And the entities engaging in this conduct, and it's the federal government's responsibility regarding any American citizen, including myself as I'm documenting. The entity that's engaging in what is ongoing obstruction on social media, that's the internet. It's still online. But I'm being specific because that's what the entity's doing as of late. And the entity's doing so pursuant to what is obstruction of justice. The entity is engaged in what is, on the one hand, thinking, oh, yeah, there's going to be justice, there's going to be prosecution. But the entity has been engaged in trying to shield from social media what is my documentation regarding the only competent investigation, the only transparent investigation regarding what is, I'm the only person that's not trying to hide any information. I'm the only one that's not trying to protect anyone. I'm the only one that hasn't committed any crimes. I'm the only one. I'm the only one that has clean hands. I'm the only one that isn't biased, that doesn't have something holding over my head. Nobody can blackmail me for anything. I'm the only one that's willing to engage in what is an upright exposure of criminal conduct all the way around. I'm the only one. So I want to be clear, Fields is fully engaged in trying to protect himself and Tracy Banks because they serve for what is incriminating each other. Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in gang stalking to date and ongoing sexual violence for which he's going to federal prison. And with regard to terrorism in the United States, you are not negotiating out of that. There will never be any sort of encounter with him based on the threat that he poses to my life. And that's why I have to make sure that that's publicly expressed because just like Eric Corey Spencer and Tracy Banks stalking me and coming into my presence, I'm going to prosecute based on that unlawful threat while they're still gang stalking me, because that's exactly what they did. Gang stalking me with the city of Ontario, having kidnapped me with the city of Ontario, and then stalking me coming into my presence. Bringing me food that I didn't ask you for. Why would I eat your food? You've tried to poison me through food. Why would I eat your food when you called the police and told them that I hit you? Why are you even coming and stalking me at the library? The question is not the fact that it's a city library. The question is not the fact that you can go to the library whenever you want. The question is, are you gang stalking me at the library? And absolutely she is. And she's threatening my life and safety in doing so. That's a form of what is intimidation and ongoing threatening conduct by the entity. That's also doing so by helicopter and airplanes. Following me around. That's the video that you listen to. Literally following me around. It doesn't get any more threatening than that. And then that's a sex offender that wants to keep my vagina under surveillance and molest the entirety of my body with engineered light while obsessively stalking me, hunting me down while still trying to kill me. This is relevant for what is federal prison under all circumstances. Anybody, I said before, at Woodside Senior Apartments, so that I left in May of 2025, so I said it around March, April. Anyone that is associated with Jason Isaac Fields, you will never be associated with me. Jason Isaac Fields represents what is a terrorist, one of the most threatening demons that is ongoing, determined with regard to a level of delusion that is abnormal. Okay, this is a demon. He's engaged in spiritually attacking me. He's still gang stalking me because he remains a part of the entity. I don't care what he's said to the federal government. I'm prosecuting, and I'm letting you know how the criminal conspiracy of gang stalking is prosecuted, how that legal framework operates, and he remains a part of the entity. I don't care what back deals he's made. I'm prosecuting him, and I'm still documenting him. You cannot unilaterally remove yourself from the entity. And by the way, he's not removed. He's a demon. He's still spiritually attacking. He's still hoping that I drop dead, and it's not going to happen. And he needs to be careful before he's the one that drops dead. It's not going to happen to me. And you need to stop praying death on yourself. This is an entity that's engaging in sexual violence, and Jason Fields is engaging in it to date. This is an entity that's engaging in what is ongoing unlawful threatening behavior because I'm documenting and publishing it on the internet, where the prosecution is complete online first, and it will be completed in a federal tribunal. But it was necessary with regard to full transparency and with regard to the absolute truth about what I said in 2018, which is the case, that the government is engaged in surveillance and the government is full of demons. They are stalking and they are mentally ill. And they include Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. This psychopath's been targeting me, what he thought was cleverly, from behind the scenes, because we haven't had a conversation. I haven't seen him in years, but he's been targeting me the entire time. And he thinks that he can switch hands and make himself some sort of... He's not a hero. He doesn't even come off as a hero. He's not even going to be mistaken for a hero, because he's not. And we are also not working together. He's a demon. He works for Satan. We are not on the same team. He's been targeting me, not the other way around. I haven't been targeting anybody. With regard to an investigation, absolutely, I'm targeting criminal conduct. But I haven't been targeting anybody. Jason Isaac Fields never had any authority under the law, which he knew. He knew that. To investigate, that's a synonym for gang stalk me. That's what the federal government called it. Gang stalking, and doing so with Tracy Banks has been doing it the entire time. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he did it for money. He did it because he was getting sex that he had never experienced before from a 60-year-old woman. Okay? And he also got what he never had, HIV. That's what he got from that, death. The entities engaging in this conduct, and Jason Isaac Fields represents an unlawful threat, and it is the government's responsibility to keep that particular terrorist, who is extraordinarily delusional. It's a threat that the entity is permitting the Ontario Police Department to threaten me every day, but I want to be clear, I'm going to prosecute for the unlawful threat that I remain subject to. Another one, let me put it that way. I'm going to prosecute for it. The government's conducting an unlawful and inhumane experiment. The government is engaged in what is targeting me, and then is fascinated and sitting up and studying my responses, while I remain subject to this ongoing program, which the federal government is engaging in against me. And there will be no check that you're going to write that makes it okay. And you are never conducting an investigation. My documentation is the only reason why I will be getting justice. It's the only reason why. And it is going to simultaneously expose the government engaging in an inhumane experimentation my entire life, including, as of late, through 2018 and 2025, the documentation revealing state targeting, where the government then tried to murder me in secret. And Jason Isaac Fields is directly engaged in that and sought to profit from it, incentivized to do so. Stole my property, stole my money, and the government is dragging its feet, and I'm going to prosecute for that. That on top of the entirety of the crime committed against me. Jason Isaac Fields is never permitted under the law to be in my presence. He might as well be flying the Ontario Police Department helicopters over my head every day, because he will never be permitted in my presence. He is a terrorist, and there will be no conversation with any terrorist that engaged in conspiring my murder, using death magic on me, having sex with my mother, having sex rituals while you're trying to practice ways to kill me off so that people will think that I killed myself. There will never be a conversation with Jason Isaac Fields. We will never be friends, and that is not anything that Christ has required me to do. I'm doing what God called me to do, and I don't have to have it's not including talking to Jason Isaac Fields, and that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, and it's never going to happen against my will. And the government is going to be forced to do its job and protect me from that psychopath under all circumstances. This is P.O.C. I'm going to document the third parties that are engaging in the perpetual sex offense, including while I document their co-defendant, Jason Isaac Fields. License plate. This is, again, the entity that's engaging in what is sexual violence. You're being touched by hundreds of people, and it's thousands of people, essentially. All day long, the entity kept the fake sun between F Street and Euclid. Look at a map. It's 0.3 miles. It's less than a 5-minute walk. That's where the fake sun was rising and setting over me. The entity is engaged in what is molesting my body. Sexual violence is underway upon gang stalking. Okay? In addition to the surveillance of your genitalia, surveillance in bathrooms, okay? Surveillance, monitoring of your person, monitoring you is a sex offense. It's inhumane. It's psychopathic, and it's a sex offense. All right? License 5, Mary Paul Boy, 018. Sexual assault and battery, 9, Edward Sam David 179. 9, Kevin Victor Wendy 32 Bob. Sexual assault and battery as an entity, 8, Victor David Xavier 119. 8, George Robert Henry 783. 8, Paul Sam Bob 828. Edward Henry 14 Thomas 62. That's a paper plate. The entity is exhibiting severe mental illness as they're stalking with light as well. The entity that kept the fake sun between F Street and C Street, understand that this is a population of mentally sick people, and the nation needs to know that mental illness is this pervasive and that it is this severe. This is what needs to be known. Okay? This stalking with light conduct is very, very demented, and it is, I'm trying to be as clear as I can. It is a direct indicator regarding a severe mental break with reality, psychopathic, and delusional disorder, okay, with regard to the mind of the demon-possessed person that is stalking. Okay, so that's very serious, and the entity is engaging in this conduct as a whole population. License 8, George Edward Nancy 638. This is a demon that's subject to federal prison gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments. By the way, 8, Nancy Larry Uncle 597. License 8, Henry Sam Thomas 778. License 64911 Thomas 3. License 6, Robert 0 Henry 539. All right, the entities engaging in what is ongoing psychopathic behavior. They're all molesting me with light while they are taking the particular route. This is not traffic, it's surveillance. F Street, C Street, one sun, all day over me. This is not traffic, it is surveillance. Sex offenders who are obsessively stalking me as a community effort, as a citywide effort, are going out of their way to stalk by crossing path as a group. That's how you're stalking as a group. One person, instead of one person just standing there, the entity does it as a group, as one person after another continuously crosses your path. That's the significance. Understanding traditional stalking, one person stands there, doesn't move, versus a group that is moving perpetually, remaining present. That's how they're doing it collectively. That's what these demons are doing, and it's surveillance. The environment is letting you know that. They're not going anywhere. They're stalking me, and they are doing so pursuant to what is an obsession with touching me. Ah, I want to touch her. That's literally what's in the mind of the demons. They want to be near me. They want to stalk and follow me. They also are hostile because I know it, and I'm also exposing that. The demons are embarrassed. The demon-possessed are embarrassed by their obsession with me, and they are also embarrassed and humiliated because I'm exposing it. And I call them appropriately by what they do. You're a sex offender for touching. You're a sex offender for stalking. You're a sex offender for stalking in bathrooms. You're a sex offender for keeping me under surveillance, for specifically paying attention to my genitalia. You're a sex offender. The entity is humiliated by that, and they engage in more sexual violence like a sex offender. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm so angry. Oh, I'm going to molest you with light. I'm going to touch you with even more light. While demons, again, this is wizards. These are demons, witches, that are engaging what is this? This is witchcraft, essentially, with this engineered light. And you needed to know that the demonic is right. It's all around you. It's all around you. The spiritual realm is right in your face. So that's the prosecution for gang stalking, okay? But I'm also giving what is the context and the psychoanalysis behind that. And all I'm doing as somebody that is using facts and circumstances and applying the law to the facts. You can do the same thing with regard to, I don't have to have a degree in psychology to point out what is very demented behavior. You don't have to have a degree in psychology. Everyone can recognize, whoa, that's weird. And then they're all sharing that weird conduct, and they have the criminal objective, which is weird that they're all doing that together. And they're also doing it in a manner that the ordinary person is not supposed to be able to prove. That's getting to what are levels of demented behavior, serving a very malicious and nefarious purpose, which is getting to a demented mind state. I don't have to have a degree in psychology because I have the words and the ability to describe that. When the medical professionals come in, actual legitimate ones, those are the ones that are able to go and do that official diagnosis and provide those examinations. No, I don't have that training, and I don't need it to be able to identify sick behavior. I don't. And this is certifiable. This is all certifiable. Alrighty, it is currently 11:32 p.m. 43 p.m. So the demons of the Ontario Police Department who worship me, and they actually worship my vagina, they are going to they're flying over me by helicopter. Very, very pathetic. Very, very pathetic conduct. But I'm going to document it because that's what they're doing. And they're doing it while a demon is walking by stalking me while with a flashlight. Okay. Stalking with light is what that is. Doing so while they just listen to everything that you just heard me state. The demons sit back, and then I know what I'll do. We'll fly over her again with a helicopter. Like all of that energy and like a whole helicopter. You're not dealing with sane people. That's the point. And Mike LORENZ is very, very sick. This is a sick puppy, and him and everyone else is going to be removed as a department. I just want to document the entity engaging in that, doing so by helicopter. This is supposed to be in a sick person's mind. You're not dealing with people. You're dealing with Satan. That is a spirit that is provoking the behavior of people that are acting of their own volition. It's not a defense, but I'm just breaking down the sick behavior. So you're using, this is a whole police department that is using a helicopter because they are so focused on me. They're so bothered by what it is that I say. They're very much focused on me and obsessed with me. That is an admission of obsession, in other words, for the entity to... I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's very, very... It's actually very pathetic when you think about what Mike LORENZ is doing, okay? They are on the flip side of being scary, big terrorists that are running the city and engaged in ongoing top secret surveillance. I've exposed him, and I've embarrassed, I've humiliated Mike LORENZ and whatever he's married to as well, because he's more concerned with my vagina than whoever it is that if he has anybody. He's up thinking about me every day. And the entity is stalking by helicopter moments after they listen to me give that discussion, breaking down certifiable conduct, which is what that is. The Ontario Police Department, definitely certifiable. You've seen the fake sun. You saw the impossible light activity inside of that department. You saw them stalking me with helicopter at the Ontario Police Department while the sun is over me in Fontana, California at the same time as I show you that they're certifiable. The sun is over me at the Ontario Town Square where they're stalking me at the same time when the sun's supposed to be over their department, showing you that they are certifiable. Okay. A demon, this is supposed to be sick people's, this is what demons do. This is how you know that you're not dealing with sane people. And it's something that the world needs to know. That's what it is. It's something that the world needs to know. This level of obsession with me is not because these are not people. This is the Nephilim. These are demons. They're not sane. And even in their failed effort that's not scaring me. That's not scary. And it's also an admission that they're very much obsessed with me, which is very, very creepy. Okay, Mike Lorenz needs serious help. Okay, and part of that help is going to be the necessary disbanding and also mandated federal prison for every kidnapper. These psychopaths that put their hands on me and engaged in kidnapping, when they're engaged in that level of stalking, like that's what you're going to put, that level of stalking is what so this is what the entity is doing. I just want to document that. They combined it with a weirdo that walks by me. Everybody knows where I'm at and what I'm doing. So a weirdo is walking by me with a flashlight. That's a demon. Very, very sick. And it's also very creepy that demons are like crawling into police uniforms and want you to think that they're like upright. That's the Ontario Police. But you don't think that anymore because I've shown you. Matter of fact, they've shown you. They're obsessed with me. They're a group of demon-possessed people who are dead. They're zombies, and they're obsessing over everything that I say. And as I stated that, as you listen to the discussion I just had, then they decided, oh, okay, the most fiercest thing we can think of is flying over by helicopter. So that's what they did. I'm going to document because I'm prosecuting them, but it's really just beyond it's just beyond this is what I was speaking of. It's not even for purposes of identification. They call themselves Ontario Police Department. This is not. This is beyond. It's beyond sophomoric. It's beyond an admission to, I'm so obsessed with you. I have to find the most astronomically powerful means of just being in your presence. Something that'll make me feel bigger than you. Something that'll make me feel stronger than you. It's pathetic. These are the boys that are very much bothered by me, and they're bothered by me because they're obsessed with me. They're obsessed with me, and they're embarrassed that they're obsessed with me. They're embarrassed because I know that they're obsessed with me. They're embarrassed because I prove that they're obsessed with me and that they're stalking. Not just obsessed, but that they're stalking, and they're embarrassed by that. And then they engage in more of it so that everyone else is looking at how pathetic a police department is. And that's what flew over me approximately 10 minutes ago now, and did so because they sat up and listened to everything that I said, and they go through the same. These are psychopaths, as I say. This is certifiable. The demons that are going to be disbanded, they're going to be subject to mental examinations. But they listened to, thought about, they marinated on it. They got really, really, really upset. They're intimidated by me. Okay, I make them feel emasculated. I make them feel very stupid and small, but they should be, because they're demons. They've been put in proper perspective. They are not big and powerful and strong and almighty and all-knowing. Not even a little. Not even kind of. They're very, very foolish and imbecilic and ignorant. They are. They just are. So they flew over me by helicopter, and I'm going to include that on the podcast. And that makes a loser. And I'm not just calling that. You're literally a loser. You did that. And I'm laughing. So I don't know what you're accomplishing by that. But I'm trying to hold back laughter because this is serious. Because it's not funny. The ordinary target individual's experience is not funny. But it is funny that you're so pathetic and you can't think of anything. And the most biggest thing you could think of is to shine me with light and stalk with loud helicopter. That's all they have. Okay, they have no business in law enforcement, okay? So these are very highly unstable creatures and they're going to be removed. They're going to be stripped from these uniforms. That's what's happening. Okay? This is P.O.C. The entity had a cockroach coming next to me with a flashlight, and then those sickos flew over by a helicopter, and that made them feel better in the moment. That is the certifiable behavior that is having the Ontario Police Department disbanded for what is obsessive stalking with me. It's not a police department. Their helicopters are used to follow me. Those helicopters are devoted to surveilling me. Those vehicles are gassed up to follow me around. That's it. That's the reality. And that's not an exaggeration. And this is also why Jason Isaac Fields is indeed going to federal prison. This is exactly what him and Tracy Banks solicited in order that they could do sick things like have tantric sex with each other on a pile of my money and in property that belongs to me, so that they can have their sex rituals and pray to Satan and summon demonic spirits and celebrate having murdered someone. Okay. And this is not exaggeration. These are evil people who are very, very sick. And their sickness is because they've been playing in spirits for a long time. And so then you have somebody like me that comes around and I'm shining a light on very obviously depraved and demented and pathetic behavior that they're then embarrassed about because they all tell each other that they're winners and they're all losers. That's why I'm prosecuting all of them together, all of them. Okay. Anyway, it's great. I just want to document that. That's the entity that's supposed to be inactive under the law. I'm going to prosecute. It's retaliatory. It's obstruction. It's the same stalking. You're clearly targeting. You follow me from place to place to place. So when Nathan Morgan is in the apartment and we're going to look at the video in court, everything that's coming out of his mouth is malicious. He's a bad liar on its face. But you're also looking at it under the perspective of the truth that is known. The Ontario Police Department is obsessed with me and they're stalking me. And so you're looking at that from that truthful context when you're listening and analyzing everything that demon said inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. And this is the angle that you're taking when the truth of gang stalking as opposed to law enforcement when disbanding the Ontario Police. And it's also going to be used to have them subject to mental examinations, to psychoanalyze the depths of the demented minds that are those demons hiding behind uniforms that they're going to be removed from. They will never have anything to do with any sort of law enforcement uniform based on how sick they are. And their obsession with me is what is providing my ability to give a service to this country and have these gang members permanently removed from the law enforcement field altogether permanently, because that's what's happening. It's 11:54 p.m. So I guess we can all thank the Lord God for their obsession with me, because but for the Ontario Police's obsession, I wouldn't have been able to have them disbanded and removed altogether permanently. So let's thank the Lord for that. It is currently 11:54 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's what the losers did. It's pathetic. That's what they did. That makes a demon feel better. You're not dealing with normal human beings. So they engage in shining light. Engineered light. They engage in amplified noise creation. They behave like animals that are like rabies infected. That's what they are. They're demons. They're not normal people. So yeah, it's 11:54 p.m. This is P.O.C.